Hi and welcome to Autocad Bytes. Today we're going to be looking at some commands which hopefully will help your productivity. We'll be looking at the extended trim command, which allows us to trim elements without selecting each individual item. We can use a polygon or a line. We're going to use the boundary command to create some instant polylines, closed polylines from irregular shapes, and we're going to use the shift key to toggle between the extend and the trim and the fillet command. We'll also look at the stretch with the crossing polygon command. Let's have a look at the extended trim command. We're going to use this rectangle here as our boundary to trim against. So if we type in EXTRIM, there's no shortcut for this one, and we select on that rectangle, and then we pick inside that rectangle, it trims very quickly everything within that rectangle. Equally, if I do it again, I'll just press enter to induce the last command, and that'll bring up the extended trim. So pick on the rectangle again, and this time pick outside the rectangle, and it trims everything outside. Very useful, very quick for cleaning up those lines. This is the boundary command. Now BO for boundary will bring up the boundary dialog box, and what this allows us to do is if you pick on points, it will detect where all the boundaries are. Now you have to have a closed entity to be able to do this. It won't find items if it stretches out beyond, if there's gaps between these lines. So I've picked inside, and then I'll press enter, and it will generate a new boundary on the current layer, which just happens to be a purple layer. I can then move this out of the way, and you can see it's a closed polygon. Again, if I do BO for boundary, pick again, and then I can pick in all of these circles, and again it will generate boundaries within these objects, detecting where they overlap and where the other entities encroach in those spaces. Very useful for making very quick polylines, for working out areas of spaces. This is the shift, using the shift key with the trim and the extend command. What I'm going to do is copy this line, so CP for copy, select on the line, and just move it across here, and escape to get out of the command. Okay, so TR for trim. What I'm going to do is I can select one of these lines as a trim line, but what I'm going to do is just press enter, then everything in this drawing becomes a trim boundary. So I can click on here to start trimming lines. I could even come over here and start trimming lines. You can see that everything in the drawing has become a trim boundary. But if I hold down the shift key, then everything becomes an extension boundary as well. So I can start trimming, shift off, trim, hold shift down, extend. It also works in the opposite, so I'm just going to escape out of this command, and I'm going to type EX for extend. Again, I'm going to select enter to select everything as a boundary extension, and I can start extending things off into the distance. Hold down the shift key, and I can start trimming things back to the closest boundary line and use it as a trim command as well as extension. Very useful, very quick, saves you flicking between commands. This is the fillet command, and using the shift key to override the radius of the arc that's going to be created. So F for fillet, enter, and you can see down here I've got a 100mm radius. If I pick on this vertical line and this horizontal line, it generates a fillet in between. If I press enter to induce the same command again, if I this time hold down the shift key, it overrides that radius and fillets to a point. Very quick way of creating a corner point on two lines without having to get out of the radius or reset the radius. This is the stretch command using the crossing polygon argument. The normal stretch command, if I go S for stretch, enter, and just select everything with a rectangle crossing rectangle and press enter, then everything will stretch. But if I don't want that, I can do S for stretch, and this time CP for crossing polygon, and I can start over here. I'm just going to press F8 and turn the ortho button off, so I've got a free rein with my cursor, and just start avoiding these green lines, and press enter when I'm happy with that. It's only selected the red lines. Do I want to select any more objects down the bottom here? No, I don't, so press enter again and pick on a point, and now I'm only stretching the red lines. Okay, so that's the extended trim command, which allows you to trim objects globally by using one object and picking inside or outside, or left or right, or up or down from that object. The boundary object which allows you to create very quick boundaries, polygon boundaries of objects as long as they're all crossing. The extend and trim command with the shift key to toggle between, the shift key to toggle between the two, and then the shift key to override the fillet radius. And finally the stretch with the crossing polygon to be a little bit more selective about which items you stretch. I hope this has been useful. This is CAD Professionals and AutoCAD Bytes.